Hi guys, today I'm going to be reviewing the Specialized shock pump, and if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's do this thing. Having a closer look at the Specialized shock pump, and you're probably thinking to yourself, can this be used on a normal tire? Yes, it probably could, but the difference between a shock pump and a normal pump is the shock pump has low volume, as you can see by the narrow cylinder here, high pressure, and a normal pump has high volume, low pressure. So it's got an analog gauge which is covered in like a rubber material which can go up to 300 psi or 20 bar. It's got a button over there to release any excess pressure inside the shock, and everything on the shock is basically made either of aluminium or some sort of a metal. So it's more of a high-end type product. As you can see, it's actually when you feel it, it's quite high quality. It's got a good feel in your hand. It doesn't feel cheap in any way. Everything here, as I said earlier, is metal. Even this little cover here, the handle at the back as well, aluminium. The hose itself is braided, and as with most shock pumps, has this little swivel connector over here. It's got your Ryder valve over here where you can screw onto the shock pump itself. It does not have a separate button or anything to release the pressure in the shock when you unscrew it. So it's debatable if you're actually going to lose any pressure when you pump the shock up to your required value or pressure, and then when you release it from the actual shock itself. But let's have a closer look and let's see how the shock works. So if you've seen my video on the Ryder shock pump, I'm just going to do a bit of a review here as to why I cannot use one of these sort of gauges to actually check the pressure in the shock first, as that's what I was going to do to check how accurate these pumps are. But first of all, as I said before, this one in the previous video, this one does not go up to those sort of pressures. And this one, although it does go up to those pressures, when you initially put the gauge on the actual shock itself, it releases a bit of air. And because the shock is such a small volume, and that little bit of air is releases too much pressure from the shock and actually makes the result invalid. So you cannot use one of these actual gauges to check your pressure in the shock. You must just use a shock pump or the gauge that comes with it, and only that is what you're going to be able to use. You can't actually, you're just going to have to take it that the pressure that's on the actual gauge itself is correct and take it from there. To use the Specialized pump, you just take the valve, screw it on there to your shock. You can hear a little bit of air coming out. It then reads the display currently in the actual fork itself, which is 100 psi. Then the nice thing about this actual pump is it's got a bigger stroke volume than the other one, or the Ryder that I reviewed earlier. So now if we pump, it actually has, you can feel the air take, but at the end here is your biggest, obviously that's where the pressure actually takes place. So you just pump that as to the desired pressure you want it to go to. If you exceed the pressure that you need to pump it to, you can press that button and release a bit of air. Bring it down, and as you can see, it comes down quite quickly, and that's, as I explained before, because of the small volume that's actually in here, and it's under extremely high pressure. So once you've pumped to the pressure that you require it, you just unscrew it and you're good to go. So guys, in summary, the shock pump by Specialized, very nice pump. It's got a nice big stroke volume, so as you can see, when I was pumping, it actually went up quite easily. I've pumped this, I've pumped a shock up to 300 psi, the brain shock at the rear one, and obviously the fork, no problem. The release air button works very well. Nice high quality pump, definitely recommend this, and maybe sometimes it's worth putting a little bit more money into a pump and get the right thing first. So Maybe next time I'll also go get one with a digital readout. That'll probably be a bit easier. But other than that, great pump. Definitely recommend it. And guys, thanks for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.